silence. Make sure you maximize that cooldown.
Yeah.
Always force something out when it's up.
Well, look, I'll give props to Vici for going a very different draft. I always enjoy seeing these unique drafts that we don't get to see too often. So it should be fun for us at least to break down what's going on. Once we get to see what's going on, it should be very, very interesting. Of course, John, I do have to bring up some odds for the public out there that does want to see it. Vici Gaming are the favorites going into this first game. And I don't know about that. I mean, EHOME's one of those teams, John. If they're on fire, they're on fire. You know what I mean? It's EHOME can really shut you down quite hard.
What's Yang up to? What's up with the troll face, Yang?
I mean,
I think VG knows their draft is funny.
Weird. Yeah.
It's funny. I find it funny. Just looking at all these heroes makes me think of a pub. And this is the kind of draft in a pub when you run up against, you're like, wow, this sounds really dumb, and then they win by 15. You know, it's just that kind of thing. Once it really starts to run at you, it will run at you. Like, it takes a while for Terrorblade to bulk up against this kind of damage.
Yeah. No, look, fair enough. I'm not saying it's not going to work. I'm saying I don't understand why you would go this kind of draft. But I appreciate that we're going to see some fun strategy. I can say that.
PYW just took a tower hit and is copying some damage from Q. Half HP.
All right, tag team was committed for that. PYW, yeah, he's gonna have to commit a salve or run back to Fountain. He will commit the salve. It's not the greatest start from Mirana, not the biggest deal in the world, but that's 100 gold gone.
I don't think he expected perhaps that ward watching him, although I think he just walked under the tower regardless. So just a bit of a wasted piece of regen there still. Not going to hurt too much. That is just your support, so, you know, they're used to copying it.
Q going to chase DY up at the top lane. Sylar does actually TP up on the TB. They're going to send Faith Beyond down bot with Y on the Jakiro. Eurus will actually extend the favor as well. He does come down bot on the Mars now. I think it is going to be fairly important to have that Mars up against the Beastmaster Jakiro, because, you know, with this lane, you give them a little bit of space and they're going to start pushing that tier 1 very, very quick. At least with that God's Rebuke and Spear, you can just force them back very easily, though. You look at this, why? Providing so much harassment onto Eurus. Faith Beyond, even with that ball, can be very frustrating with the slow and the high damage it does deal at those higher levels.
Yeah, it's not a very tanky hero, that Mars at level 1. Don't really have anything to protect you from that damage. Only 2 base armor as well. It's really easy to zone out still. A lot of TPs have been expended. We have watched our Batrider Yang walk all the way to top, because he TP'd earlier on as well. So a lot of EXP being lost out here by VG.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, mid lane, nothing to say. Falling very, very low on the puck. The puck not necessarily going to enjoy going up against Ori on that silence. So it is regardless of what lane you're in, silence is just annoying though. Top lane, DY almost goes down, but he'll salve up, he'll survive for another day.
Sylar.
Never mind that, because Sylar does end up dying on the Terrorblade, and DY was there to pick up the kill on the Nyx Assassin. Now he turns around for a double impel, and Yang is getting a lot of sticky napalm charges off. Do they keep going? DY, he needs another 7 seconds for an impale. Y is very slowed up with those sticky napalms, and Yang, he's coming in for more Y. He's stuck around too long, but DY is out of mana. It doesn't seem to matter though. Q now gonna turn around onto Yang with the snowball. They do pick up the kill, and DY gonna be forced back again. He does have some tangos anyway, so it looks like he is gonna remain in the lane.
Oh, this is some of the bloodier earlier games we've seen coming out of the region so far. 3 kills already, not even at the 3-minute mark just yet. VG having a better time of it at 2-1. And you can see the emphasis on that early aggression. I love seeing this from VG. They know how to run this draft. They know they have to run it really bloody. And they are trying to get that done.
We do love blood in Dota. Blood must be spilled for the entertainment of the viewers. Ori. Still doing very well in this mid lane, I've got to say. Like, he is behind in last hits in comparison to nothing to say. But just the pure harassment the Silencer can continuously deal out. It's going to be very frustrating for nothing to say, though he is really using his phase shift quite efficiently. Ori And he's kind of prioritizing going for that harass rather than going for those CS secure. Seems like he wants that puck to leave the lane. Nothing to say he's not moving though.
Why? Up
Top
top?
lane will die. Yang does get him with the Firefly. Poor Y. Just can't really do much. And now the TB gonna get jumped on. DY with the impel. And now the body blocks come out. Sylar, he's got 3 stacks of sticky napalm, and he's got no way out of this, I don't think. 4 now. Yang can just keep stacking these up. There's nothing Sylar can do. And DY with the perfect body blocks. The Tusk,
man.
I mean, Sin-Q, he just left. He just said, I'm not helping this. Get me out of here.
I mean, we're talking about that laning combination as well, right? The Terrorblade and the Tusk is supposed to be a very strong laning duo when you have that metamorphosis up, but every single time, VG has been able to do a lot more.
Well, you mentioned it in the draft. With this kind of draft that Vici has, they have to do this. They can't give them an inch of space. Speaking of, nothing to say. Getting jumped on Sin-Q. Going to rotate with the snowball. Or he could be in trouble, but he keeps hitting the puck. And nothing to say. Orb dodge. But phase shift as well. He survives, and Sin-Q will manage to find the kill before nothing to say does go down to the Arcane Curse anyway.
A bit of a loss there for Ori. Oh.
Sylar. Every single time Yang has Firefly, he jumps. Y tried to help. He hasn't learned his lesson. And, well, it looks like he will survive this time around. But the more important thing for Vici, they found the Terrorblade.
I mean, they're at 6-2 now. Every single lane really just kind of winning out. The only lane that has been a bit silent is that bot lane with Eurus. But, you know, it's a Mars lane. He's still on top of, in terms of last hits right now as well. So he's in a pretty decent spot. That mid kill I want to talk about for a bit. Ori dying first is big for EHOME. At the very least, you know, this silencer is not getting too much int from that permanent int steal. And that would be big against a hero like Puck, you know. She needs all the mana she can get. So making sure Ori doesn't secure that is great, even though, you know, you still lose your puck in the end, which makes it kind of even. In fact, I'd say Ori's still pretty happy with all of this. Still, you know, at the very least, you're mitigating the growth of the silencer.
You're gonna love the fact that Ori also went for the, he's maxing Arcane Curse, and I love that, right? Because up against the Puck, who loves to spam Phase Shift, loves to spam Orb and the Waning Rift, it seems like you get so much value out of that Arcane Curse this game.
Definitely, it's just gonna do a lot for them. He does skip on the global silence at 6. I think that's fine. It's still really early on. You're not gonna be forcing out any big team fights, big moves just yet. You're not gonna need that spell. Although Sin-Q's already copying a lot of damage just from the right clicks of Ori.
I mean, he just runs past, and Ori says, that's fine, I'll just hit you on the way out. DY misses an impale there onto nothing to say, but good try. Is buying space for Ori, who is still behind in terms of CS, but in poor nothing to say, he's had to burn through so much regen. Luckily for him, he does have a bottle up now, but even then, seems like if they don't really secure those power runes for nothing to say, this lane is going to get even worse up against the silencer.
Yeah, it's a rough time overall for EHOME. I mean, they've kind of left their side lanes as well, though. They do find PYW.
Yeah, he just rotated over, but the Dream Call was up for nothing to say, and he just commit. A kill's a kill, right?
Definitely.
Top lane. Yang once again with the Firefly, this time just going to creep skip. And they've actually rotated Faith Beyond up now on the Beastmaster. And they've, where is our Terrorblade? Oh, it's not a great Sylar. He's been forced to farm the jungle now. He does have the double Wraith Bands up, which obviously makes it a little bit faster, but that's not really the scenario you want to be in as a Terrorblade, and we have a global silence going on as Yang is going to chase, and nothing to say. Apparently bot lane does go down to Eurus. So the global silence just to make sure he couldn't get out, but top lane, Y, falling very low, and again BG Gaming just all over the map. It's going to be an 8-3 2K net worth lead at 8 minutes.
Yeah, this is exactly how VG's draft works, and they're actually pushing it as best as I could imagine. This is the aggression you want to be seeing from them. They've forced the Terrorblade into that jungle for the past 4 minutes now. Right, so Sylar's been stuck there. They have to rotate Faith Beyond up top, and he's just basically jungling every now and again as well. He cannot lane against the combination that VG has up there. And this is going to choke them out just a bit. They should really focus on keeping their Terrorblade safe. Sylar's key. If he can hold out until the 20-25 minute mark when he gets pretty big, or at least until he gets a BKB plus 1 item, that's going to be great.
Dream Call, PYW again going to be the target, and nothing to say, we'll get him with the orb. That is one way back into the game for EHOME. If they could just keep finding those easy support pickoffs, it really does end up paying off at the end. In fact, never mind those supports. Eurus gonna get jumped on. Nothing to say. Doesn't have Dream Call this time, but do they have the damage output? Eurus, nice spear dodge from Nothing to Say with the phase shift. Eurus is still surviving, and now the rotation's Ori. He comes in onto Sylar. Sylar doesn't have Sunder at the moment, and looks like he will drop. He does get Ori in the end, but now why? Probably gonna lose his life. Still going after Eurus, but here comes the arena. Eurus, he'll survive another day. There's Nothing to Say. Another spear dodge. But can you finish the job off that you tried to start? No. It's time to run. It's going to be a 2-for-1 trade for now in the favor of Vici Gaming. The puck will walk away, but that is a disastrous team fight for EHO. And Eurus, I mean, he's a tanky target, John. I think without the Dream Call, you can't make that play.
No, definitely not. It was a big gamble. They were diving in tier 1. They knew the TPs were up. They got punished for that move. They lose their biggest hero that they need to protect. And VG's going to be very happy. They're happy to have EHOME in this position where they're desperate enough to smoke with their Terrorblade to try to find that kill on a Mars. You know, that's really not what you want to be seeing.
Top lane, Faith Beyond, the arrow set up with the lasso, and Faith, he commits raw for this. He could find a trade, and looks like he probably will and does. PYW actually almost going down as he took down one of the Necro Creeps. And now the Tusk will come in, but Global Silence has been popped by Ori. He wants to protect PYW, those shards. Perfect from Syncu, but where are you going, sir? The other way around. He'll get the punch off, but it'll be at the cost of his own life. And now Nothing to Say comes in with the Dream Call onto Ori. It'll be a huge kill if they could get it, but now Eurus, he'll join in on the Mars. He'll get the Jakiro Y again, and Nothing to Say, can you get the job done? He'll take down Ori. He has a haste rune, but it may not be enough. Impel connects Orb, Nothing to Say, still juking up at the Arcane Curse. Probably going to tick him out here. It's got a fairly long duration left. Phase shift, not going to help. Again, Vici Gaming does find the positive trade.
Yeah, it's rough now for EHOME. They're really trying to match that aggression, and it's certainly not paying off just yet, although, to be fair to EHOME, they're not too far behind. It's 14-8 at 11 minutes in, but VG only has a 1k net worth advantage. So it's not much buy gold just yet. Their Terrorblade, despite that rough start, you know, Sylar is still at least in the top 4, and he's not too far behind. The disparity, again, is just not that big. Just about 1k, maybe 700 gold on average, and not too rough. They really need to buy space for this Terrorblade, although they do smoke up. Syncu and Sylar walking down bot.
Sylar again, I mean, you have the meta up, and it seems like they want to go for that bot T1 Faith, trying to go in for a Raw. He will go after Nyx Assassin as Sylar comes in with the meta. They should be able to get DY though, Vendetta. Don't tell me you don't have sentries. They do. He will spy Carapace and Impel walking out of sentry range, but the Vendetta is over. And with that, they will be able to secure their first T1 of the game. Of course, Vici Gaming have already secured the top tier 1 themselves anyway, and they are going to start pressuring for a tier 2 now as Eurus going to be there, but Y will TP up as the Jack and does just commit Macro Pyre to ensure that nothing else happens. The EHOME, not the biggest win, but it is a win.
Definitely. Like, I think what EHOME needs to do now is to try to find the objectives they can. At the very least, they can melt these towers really quick with the Metamorphosis and the Beastmaster. So you've got these tools to melt early objectives.
That chance. Ori is trapped up. Global Silence going to come out. The rotation's not going to be fast enough. DY will be able to find the Tusk in the end. But you lost your mid-silencer. And that's the kind of kills we want to see from EHOME. If they can get a couple more of those, John, I think they're back into the game.
Definitely. Again, the lead of VG's not that big in first place. If EHOME can kind of match that pace and slowly melt these towers away every time the Metamorphosis is up, I think you're going to hit pretty good timing with EHOME. VG, they've got to tie in this aggression or perhaps try to look at those objectives. They haven't taken much. They've only taken one tier 1 up top, and their lineup is not built to push, so they need to try to clump up, kill as many heroes as possible, pressure out a lane to get more control on the map. Otherwise, EHOME is going to be happy playing like this with Sylar. Every time his Metamorphosis is down, he's in the jungle. When it's up, they smoke up, and they're very confident with that spell up and right.
But it seems like they're just waiting on Eurus, who is very close to getting that Deso up, and it's a huge power spike for the Mars once it is available. Whether it's enough is a different question. I think EHOME, well, bot lane, Arena, being dropped, they catch the tusk in Q, gonna be the target though. Faith is waiting right outside. He has Roar, but he gets lassoed. He waited around too long, and now the rest of the cavalry come in from Vici. Faith Beyond, I've got to question what he was doing there. He was just running into the arena walls.
Yeah, I mean, he was outside. He was stuck outside walls, wasn't he? Like, he was caught outside.
He was just running
he
into
couldn't
the
do
wall.
anything. Yeah, I think he was stuck on a weird area in the ramp, so he couldn't really navigate himself, which was a bit unfortunate, but VG's going to be very happy with that kill. Eurus, of course, getting that kill does secure his Desolator. So he's working towards his Aghanims now. And that's going to be an even bigger power spike once it's up. At the very least, his farm pace is going quite well as well. He is top of net worth right now. Definitely above and beyond that Terrorblade, although by a margin that's not too worrying, although they do find why.
It'll be another easy kill onto the Jakiro, who is having a very rough game. Already 6 deaths just prior to that 15-minute mark, and now they look to set up in the mid lane. Had a few issues trying to find this puck. They won't find him this time, but it looks like they are going to slowly set up for that mid-tier 1. John, do remind me, because I seem to have forgotten, what does the Mars Ags do again?
If I recall right, it's the cooldown on Rebuke, so you can basically spam it out like a madman. 3.5 seconds. It's a lot of DPS that can be coming out in something like an arena drop that's just going to allow our Mars to really melt through heroes like the Terrorblade.
Well, Faith Beyond bot lane going to be there, but Sylar doesn't get caught in the arena. Faith will take the death. Sylar just has to run. Eurus, you saw how fast he went through the HP of that Beastmaster. In fact, they're not done yet. Dreamcore going to be there in the back. They're going after the Batrider, but they've lost DY as well. The Nyx Assassin and EHOME, without their Beastmaster, want to take this fight. And so far, it's pretty good though. Why? One hit, and he loses so much HP. Eurus trying to TP away, and it looks like he should make it out. Just barely. But now the Shard Sync you. He finds a huge target in Ori, but he has a 4-staff up. He will survive. Meanwhile, poor Y in the back, surrounded by his team, does die.
Overall, it's still a pretty okay trade for EHOME. I don't think they're going to be too unhappy. VG didn't manage to get that lasso off. I think that's a big thing that will allow them to fight again. And you can see VG still trying to go for more.
Well, the meta's about to end as well on the Terrorblade, so it's never a better time.
Oh.
Impale, huge. Although Spear, Eurus doesn't connect, and now they had the lasso anyway, so it doesn't matter. Eurus does secure the kill. And EHOME, it's rough because it seems like they want to try and maintain control over the Radiant side jungle, which is fair enough. But Vici still are very powerful at this at this stage of the game, so I don't think you can really afford to do that.
Definitely not. Like, Sylar is building up quite well. Number 2 in net worth now, still about 1.3, 1.4 behind our Mars, but you have to remember Mars does have a timer of sorts to play around, so there's still opportunities for EHOME here. It's not as bad as you'd expect, and I'd say VG has a lot more pressure to try to close out this map. They're finding these kills. Take a look at mid-tier 1. It's still up and running for EHOME.
Certainly is. VG, they don't really seem too concerned about that. They just want more team fights. That's all they want. It's DY gonna move in with his team top lane. Xingqiu gonna spot him out. They want Sylar on that Terrorblade, and well, Yang, he TP's forward, but now the Snowball is going to be there. Arrow going to connect on Xingqiu, but they found Yang, and now the Roar comes out. They want that Nyx Assassin, DY. Going to be chased down. Spy Carapace, but the Shards is going to block him in, DY. You got to run the other way. Although, no, he'll wait it out with the Vendetta, but the Dust and Illusion just going to chase him down to the Illusion. It's really going to find him.
Oh,
Faith
man.
Beyond the one to secure the kill. Now the Snowball Xingqiu trapped up in the arena. But EHOME, they're happy to move forward. Eurus, he's out of mana. He does have a Soul Ring. apparently, EHOME does not have any more dust, but a nice shards catches out Ori, and now the perch comes out from Faith Beyond. Macro has been dropped as well. Ori 4 stars forward, but the snowball again from Sin-Q going to secure that kill, and he's already looking for more, but he does not have shards. But EHOME now look to take that top tier 1.
Yeah, EHOME gets a lot of free kills from that when they don't even trade anyone in return for that, and that is going to drop VG's lead to less than 1k. In fact, it goes the way of EHOME now with less than 1k, although...
Mid lane, they find an easy Mirana kill. Yang trying to jump in for a lasso onto the puck. He will not be so lucky as Nothing to Say does now have a blink dagger and does get out. And the T1 has been secured top. I would dare say EHOME is now probably in the lead.
Definitely. They've ridden out through most of the power spikes of VG. They're on their way to getting themselves the answers they need. Like, you have the Manta style up on Sylar now, so he can basically purge off most of those silences, and that just means that Terrorblade's going to be able to run around sundering people when he drops low, and that's exactly what you don't want when VG Gaming tries to go for that burst. He doesn't even have a BKB yet, Sylar. He's just comfy enough with the Manta style. And again, they've been playing around this timing quite well, EHOME. I think VG right now has to play together. I think the results of those last fights were because they were streaming in as Tree and then tossing the 2 heroes afterwards as well. Kind of one by one. They need to get these fights off on their terms. Find that big pick off first, and then they can clean up. Otherwise, EHOME can just kind of fight back now. They've got the tools available.
Top lane, John Yang. Smoked up, chasing, has the lasso, but Silo will actually get away. They take the outpost.
Yeah. I think that outpost cost them. Like, that outpost pretty much cost them. The moment they were capturing it, he knew there would be backup chasing him. He knew that Eurus was very far forward and trying to toy around with those illusions. So, pretty easy signal for Sylar to get out of there. And a bit of a wasted opportunity from VG.
But they didn't even get the outpost in time. EHOME was the one to secure both outposts, so they denied that XP away anyway. I believe they were a second late.
Yeah, it does look like that. Oh, man.
Nothing to say. Bot lane jumps in with the lasso again. They want to take down that Nyx. And, well, Global Silence going to be there to help DY. Falling low, and I think he's too low. He does go down, but they'll get Sin-Q as a trade. Do you keep fighting? EHOME, they have meta in 5 seconds on Sylar. Vici though, Eurus has Arena, Lasso gonna be there on Y, and now they'll jump back in. This is the time to fight. BKB popped by Eurus, but Faith commits the Roar, running in circles. Sylar, he will finally go into the meta, but I think Vici don't want to fight this now. Though Faith, he does lose his life, and Sylar, he's fighting alone. This could be dangerous. Where's the help? Nothing to say. He does jump back in, and here comes Y. He brought back on the Jakiro. They do catch out the Mars in the Ice Path, and they will get him out of the Invis, though. He just holds his shield up, and that does really take a lot of damage. That is one strong shield. And he keeps it up, and I don't blame him. You never know when these guys are going to come back in. Still great Ice Path. Why? He catches 2 of them. Eurus again puts a shield up, but it will not save Ori on the silencer. Yang, he'll TP in, but he doesn't have lasso. Still, they do stun up the TB, but now Snowball Sin-Q from the behind. How's your shield going to protect you this time? Eurus, he can't get out of this. Dreamcore going to be there. A nice spear, but this is looking really, really bad for Vici as DY, Arrow, doesn't even connect on Sin-Q.
Oh, man. This is all going so good for EHOME. Like, it looked rough when VG were finding those kills first, but Sylar doesn't fall, and that's really the important bit. They don't manage to burst down that Terrorblade. He does manage to live on. They take that tier 2 as well. EHOME are bouncing back in. Like, VG, they revealed a couple of big items there. They got the BKB out on Eurus, so they had that tool up. It didn't feel like enough. Like, sure, the Mars wasn't dying. They could ignore the Mars, clean everyone else up, and there's little that the Mars could do to stop anything.
Roshan now going to be attempted. Looks like they have done Nothing to Say. Lasso going to be there on Yang. Can they find him in time? Nothing to Say. Just going to orb away. Great shards block from Sin-Q and Ice Path to be thrown out. And Roshan is very, very low though. Yang still has time on Firefly though. Not anymore. Snowball going to be there. Yang is caught and Sylar has the Aegis. EHOME Sylar is pretty low, and they do get the Aegis. Eurus, he picks up the TB kill, but now, can you keep this team fight up? Well, you certainly can. You've already found 2 kills. Sylar trying to run away. He doesn't have Metamorphosis. Yule's up, Snowball back in, but Global Silence, and a double Impale. Just perfect from DY. Man. And this is great for Vici Gaming, as they will find a 4-for-1 trade. And that is the Aegis going down.
I mean, it looked pretty bad there for Vici this time around, but they managed to go in time. You know, they miss out on the Aegis. Who cares? You find the Terrorblade in the end. You get a good push going on that tier 1, and you might be able to find a bit more, although that puck is pretty slippery. I think at this point, Vici is showing that they can still take these fights. Again, if they get that initiation the way they want, it's very hard for EHOME to fight into it. And it was surprising that EHOME did manage to get caught out in that ramp. I think that was the big killer. The fact that the arena did so much in that ramp, blocking off the Jakiro, blocking off the supports from that Terrorblade, it was enough to really take that fight for VG's favor. And they do maintain themselves at a slight advantage, 28-22 now, less than 1k, going the way of VG. It's looking like a very even game so far, like with the way both teams are going. VG should be tapering off in a while. At the same time, EHOME are still having a couple of issues with, especially with their itemization. Like, you don't have a BKB on Sylar, so even if he has a way to purge silences off, well, he's going to be vulnerable to the rest of the stuns that VG does have, and they have been quite on point with landing those.
My point still stands, though, with VG Gaming. They took that team fight, they win a huge team fight, but they only get 1 tier 1 tower. So, I mean, you see EHOME, every time they win a team fight, they're fighting a tier 2. They might even go high ground if they win the next one. And it concerns me for Vici. At what point do you actually find objectives? Well, they might find nothing to say, which would be huge, as DY, Spike, Carapace, Impale, all going to connect, and now the arrow follow-up, and well, there's the Aeon Disc. Nothing to say, actually gets out of the lasso, Yang! Ooh, that was not the timing.
No, that was unfortunate. I think he casted the lasso right as the disc proc.
Yeah.
So it got purged right then, and that would have been a massive kill. Just kind of slips away there for VG. EHOME going to be very happy with that. Like, already a lot of value from that Aeon Disc.
I mean, if the puck was hard enough to kill as it is, with the Aeon Disc, it's just going to be that much harder. And don't look at this Sylar. Actually goes for a Diffusal Blade, and I love it. Up against the Mars, who requires mana to spam God's Rebuke, it's going to be a little hard if you've got this Diffusal on Sylar, with all those illusions just hitting away. Even the Silencer. You know, he's not going to be able to use the Glaives of Wisdom once his mana's drained up. I think the Diffusal pickup is quite nice.
It is potent up against what VG does have to offer. I think my worry is, again, the moment he gets controlled, that's not going to be doing much for you. We'll see just how far he can push it. Of course, Sylar has been doing pretty okay without the BKB for the most part, until VG realized their focus should be on that Terrorblade, just getting the stuns off, not just the silence. So Sylar's going to have to be a bit more cautious with this kind of pickup, and VG should prioritize him even more, knowing that he can really break up these fights.
All pans out. Impale actually going to land Sylar, getting caught out with the lasso now. And Arena, of course, going to be dropped from Eurus just to ensure they secure that kill. Sylar just farming across the river. It's still very, very dangerous. Like, you just talked about it. He doesn't have a BKB up. He's not very tanky. Having the real hero there across that river may now cost them as VG. They're going in to that mid lane looking for more. They can't set up for the tier 2 because they don't have creeps, so nothing to say. Jumps in with the Veil and Dream Coil. They won't have buyback on the TB, and Global Silence is going to be there, though. DY already does go down. Now PYW going to be the target. He will Moonlight Shadow run away. He has... Well, he actually didn't take the dust. They actually find him. The puck looking. Nothing to say. Does go the wrong way. Does get Ori's Courier at least. So that mid attempt from Vici Gaming doesn't really pan out their way. It does kind of set up Eurus for the bot tier 1, at least, so you do find a tier 1 out of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's not the fastest push in the world, but again, that's something we talked about before. None of these heroes on VG's side can mount any towers. They really don't. They just kind of take it slow. Although you have the Ags up now
Okay.
on Eurus, so there's that God's Rebuke cooldown. We'll see if he has the mana to maintain that. As you mentioned, with the Diffusal, if Metamorphosis is up and Sylar just stands his ground, you're not going to have the mana to cast that spell.
Definitely not. I mean, he has a Soul Ring, but not going to help that much. Although Impale definitely going to help up against the puck, but nothing to say. Again, with the Aeon Disc and now Roar coming out from Faith, but it wasn't to the Spike Carapace of the Nyx Assassin. And so none of that meant anything, but EHOME will secure a tier 2 top tower with those TB illusions, and they will happily retreat back into their jungle.
EHOME understands, they're not under any pressure to actually end this game. The pressure's on VG to make this draft work, and as time ticks on by, we're approaching the 30-minute mark. VG is just looking weaker and weaker. They can't quite keep up with EHOME, although, to be fair, I think they're itemizing quite well. You have a BKB and Ori, so he should be able to stand there. Even if he is caught out, he's going to have a way to cast that Global Silence, cast his DOT, and ensure that control is up there. And they do smoke up, trying to find nothing to say.
Well, he doesn't have the Aeon Disc available right now, so this should be a spear. Oh. Very nice coming out from Eurus, and they commit the lasso immediately. They knew the Aeon Disc wasn't available. It was on cooldown. Now, EHOME. Why? Does see the Nyx Assassin. Can they find the kill? DY. They get Ice Path up, but Eurus is already there on the Mars. Still doesn't really connect with the Jakiro. Why? We'll just drop the Macro Pyre, but that God's Rebuke damage is so high. And now Sylar, you can't be that far forward, sir. This Roar will come out now. Sunday, he's going to try and fight back, and Ori actually does end up dropping thanks to that Sunder. And Sylar, though, is still going to fall here. As Sin-Q going to go back in after PYW. He doesn't have another Warrior's Punch. He needs another strike. He will not get it. And EHOME, they found the silencer kill, but they lose so much more.
That's not worthwhile for EHOME. I'm a bit surprised Sylar actually did choose to stand his ground there. EHOME felt very scattered in that fight. It didn't feel like they were set up to try to support that fight at all. Sure, the Metamorphosis was expended. I think you accept that loss and you back off. Your life is much more valuable. And that's going to delay Sylar's timing on that BKB, which he's finally building towards. And he's at 1.4k, so he's still about 1k away. And this is going to allow a bit more time for VG to try to get a push going.
Why? Mid lane, Yule's Ice Path going to be there, nothing to say with the Veil. It's a lot of damage, and now Dreamcore comes out. Eurus, you got to get out of that Macro Pyre. He drops the Arena, but it looks like he is going to go down, not even finding why. Now the rest of the team tries to join in, but the Ice Path connects on DY just on the edge. DY, Spike Carapace going to just try and get away from this, but he is being chased down. Meanwhile, Sin-Q trying to find more. DY actually getting out of here. Does manage to outrun them in the end. But they do find Eurus on the Mars, and EHOME should be pretty satisfied with that.
Definitely. It's a bit of a consolation prize for losing 4 of your heroes earlier on. At the very least, you got the Morris to balance that out, and it does kind of balance it out. Although you are, again, seeing issues with VG and EHOME. Like, the moment the Nyx runs away, after the Spike Carapace is there, you don't have the Primal Roar up, or you don't have the mana for it, you do have trouble catching people, and it's just kind of rough, especially when Yang is there with that Force Staff as well. So you've got these options for mobility from VG. EHOME doesn't quite have that response. You don't have anything like a Blink on your Beastmaster to keep that chase. You do have a Blink on Sin-Q, but it just wasn't there in time. It was being cancelled off by the Spike Carapace usage coming out from our Nyx. So, rather unfortunate. Again, you're still happy overall because you found Eurus, and that is gonna give EHOME a lot more to play with, as they sit at the 3k advantage now, despite being several kills behind. And it does feel like VG's still kind of approaching the point where their impact is going to be mitigated. And the BKB is up on Sylar, so he's going to be able to stand there. If you don't commit that lasso, it's going to be very easy for him to have that control in the fight.
Well, they're going to smoke up immediately. BKB, Ags on the puck. So many great items here for EHOME. This should be a nice team fight. You have DY there in the Vendetta, ready to scout out, and he's actually running the exact way they are. Smoke will break, spike Carapace immediately, though they do dodge the Impale. Now with the Walrus Punch going in, Dreamcore right in the back. He caught 3 of them. BKB popped by Eurus. He's trying to run away. Do they realize it's an Aghanim Scepter Dreamcore? They do, but Sylar, he pops his own BKB. Moving forward, there's not much damage right now, but the Macropire and Ice Path from Y, holding both of them in. Still Sylar, he's out of that BKB. Sunder, gonna be there in time. Eurus holds his shield up again as the Mirana jumps back in, and they do find the TB, but Eurus has lost his life. He'll buy back. He wants to get back in this team fight. Here he is again. Sinkyu, the poor man's gonna burn to death. It looks like there's nothing to say. Actually going down to PYW. And it does cost them a buyback, but they are finding more. As Y, TPing away, can they get a spear off? It was on cooldown. But ultimately, a 2-for-3 trade, and Eurus does commit buyback. But I think Vici Gaming probably satisfied. They weathered that storm.
Definitely. This is going to allow VG to go into that rush as well. They are spotted out by the boar, but you can't really expect a Beastmaster and a Jakir to get anything done. It's going to be a while until the cores are back up. No buybacks on those 2 heroes. And even with that BKB, Sylar is still taken out, so he still has to be careful with his positioning in that fight. You still have to remember the damage from VG is still there at this point in the game. It's going to be a while until it truly tapers off, until the TV is just an absolute menace. But that's not the moment right now. And that does give VG, again, that Aegis is up and running on Eurus. So even if he expended that buyback, he still has some leeway to put himself in front.
I'll tell you what, John, I didn't really realize, but the that Ori on that silencer, he actually has 54 stolen in.
Oh yeah.
You look at the Tusk and the Beastmaster, they're both sitting there with about, 600 mana pool. And it's just, it's kind of abysmal. They already have low mana pools as it is. It's just every single time that 4 int is stolen, it just means so much as why. Gets caught out though. Sinkyu jumps in with nothing to say once again. They should be able to find this Mirana though. Mech does come out from DY. Now the Yule's just dragging out that timing of the Dream Call, and PYW does actually get out with his life intact. They get the Moonlight Shadow now. Hoping to find another target. And Ori, he's found the one. He's spotted out Sylar on the TB.
Oh boy.
Yang gonna be there as well. Arcane Curse Sunder immediately, and it's an Aghanim Scepter. Is Aghanim Scepter Lasso? No, it wasn't. It just just the illusion was apparently just following them. And all right, that's really a huge kill.
Definitely. 2K ahead now for VG, finally taking back the network lead. They take a tier 2 as well. They're going to be sieging that high ground. No buyback on our Terrorblade. Not too long for cooldown, but that might be enough time. I mean, this is going to be a slow push, to be fair.
Well, Dreamcore is back up and nothing to say. It is a slow push, and there's a repair kit. Sinkyu, he jumps in just for a Walrus Punch. Arena does not land the way they wanted to, and now the Ice Path into the shards. Jewel Breath, Eurus, just gonna keep going. Gotta be careful though. That Dream Call is ready to go. They do also have Macro, and we saw before how much damage that did do to Eurus. And it looks like they won't actually be able to even secure that tier 3. Even the bot lane was being pushed in by Faith Beyond. Don't want to really risk losing a tier 3 yourself. Speaking of Faith Beyond, he's kind of waiting around now. They do spot out Yang, nothing to say. Is also there. He tries to force staff out, but the Dream Coil was already out on top. EHOME, they will secure a nice little kill.
It's going to help the cause just a bit. You're not sacrificing too much, VG, although that was a good amount of gold going the way of Faith Beyond. But you do still have buyback on that bat, so not the biggest lots. Just a nice little pickup going the way of EHOME, and again, they have slowed down the push, and VG is starting to face the issues here that they can't push. Even if they get a big kill like that, they just don't have it in their heroes to take objectives fast enough. I think that can be mitigated by maybe a Meteor Hammer on DY. It should work out well for him, although, again, he hasn't had too much space to farm up himself. And EHOME smoke up now.
AC, though, is up on Eurus, and while they run straight into him, Moonlight Shadow and does pop Eurus. Goes for the arena, only caught the Tusk who wasn't Snowball, but nice arrow comes in, now nothing to say. Will jump straight on top of the Mars, but the BKB gonna save the day for Eurus. They get the Tusk. They move forward. They'd love to find more. Arrow, not going to connect in anyone in the back. Nothing to say. Still holding on to the Dream Coil. He wants the perfect opportunity here, and massive impale comes out from the Nyx DY, setting up. There was no follow-up. In fact, Global Silence is there, just trying to protect DY on the Nyx Assassin. Eurus. You're right, as Yule's going to go out with the arrow set up onto Y. Raw will be their faith. He pops his own BKB, but you've already lost the Jakiro. And now Lasso going to be there on the TB.
Oh, man.
He popped the BKB trying to TP away, but that's a lot of damage coming out.
Ooh.
It's not going to be quite enough. And Sila, I've got to say, timed that very well. He only had about half a second left as he got back to the fountain.
Yeah, that was pretty close, but again, most of that damage for VG is tied to that rebuke, and it still has a bit of cooldown, so not managing to get it out fast enough does cost them there still. EHOME gonna feel like they're on the back foot now. 7k behind at 38, 39 minutes in. Not the worst thing in the world, but the issue is you still have 2 lives on this Mars, and Eurus is just gonna go for it.
Yeah, why not? Repair kit again, going to come out. Shards not really going to do too much, but the puck definitely does in terms of damage. They will get the tier 3. That'll be it. Perfect timing as well, as the Aegis does expire. That God's Rebuke is doing a lot of work. I mean, on the creeps at least, it's doing 1.5k crit right now. That's really only with the Deso. He hasn't really got another pure damage item on this Mars. Kind of wonder, at what point do you see something else pop up to really amplify that crit?
Yeah, it's he has a lot of room to grow still, although I think he's starting to run out of space. Like, the Soul Ring is kind of necessary because he doesn't regen too much mana, and he does have to spam out that rebuke, and he's playing into a Diffusal, so he needs a way to sustain. I'm not sure exactly what you'd go for unless we start thinking about tier 4 items coming out, which should be coming out in about 5 minutes or so. In fact, they are coming out now, so you've got the tier 4 items up and running. That could give them more options on the Mars, but I think especially that Leveler should allow VG to get some damage, or at least a little bit more damage onto those towers.
Should. Havoc Hammer being found as well by Eurus, but that Paladin Sword is a bit too valuable.
Sylar again?
DY on the tail. Impel does connect. TP's coming in, and they are slowly pincering Sylar. He BKBs, TP's out, and Yang really would have loved that lasso, but doesn't get the opportunity. But they will go mid. PYW, he does find Y TPing away, does connect the arrow. In fact, never mind, Yules was their fate. He roars up, and now the Dream Core coming in, nothing to say. They all jump on the Mirana. PYW does fall, but they should be able to find Faith beyond, or Sync you rather. No, they won't. Eurus just doesn't feel confident. So Y will jump back in with the Ice Path, but doesn't connect with that. Nothing to say. There are a way to lock these guys down. We'll back off, but perhaps with just that Mirana kill, she doesn't have buyback available, so they may be able to force down a tier 2 tower mid, and perhaps even a tier 3, if they really want to try and risk that.
It's an opening for sure, EHOME. They're not feeling too shabby. Without that Mirana, that means they don't have to worry about any flanking maneuvers coming out from VG. That could allow EHOME to just play a little bit more aggressive, although it does look like they're just going to back off. Going to be happy with taking that last outer tower, as VG now is kind of forced to just wait for the Mirana to be back up before they play forward again.
How much time do you give VG with this draft? Like, they kind of have unlimited scaling with the silencer, if you think about it that way, but how much more time do you think this draft has before it really starts to drop off? Because I've got to say, I thought it would be around this point that we would see this draft starting to drop off on the side of VG Gaming, but it seems as though it's still pretty even.
I think the big issue for EHOME is the fact that Sylar is just not as big as you'd expect Terriblade to be. He's behind Fate Beyond's farm, he's behind our Puck's farm. So he's not even the top net worth in his own team. And I think that's playing against him. He's not as tanky as you'd expect. His damage output is pretty good, but the key thing with with the Terrorblade is standing in the middle, spamming your Sunder out, you know, just being a massive nuisance, a massive tanky nuisance up against what Vici has. And although it does take a while for him to die, it's not like he's been staying alive any longer than you'd expect. Although EHOME do smoke up.
They do, but so do Vici Gaming. Eurus on the front lines. Actually went for a basher, so you haven't got that Soul Ring any longer on the Mars. And is building into an Abyssal Blade, but hasn't quite got it yet. Doesn't want to really waste that gold. He wants to save for buyback. EHOME do get the high ground. They are set up. It's going to be a matter of whether Vici really go up that high ground, as the Hawk will scout them out. Take that Hawk out. And now they know exactly where they are. Of course, they aren't going to make the run up that cliff. They will wait for another opportunity. Well, EHOME, they are going to have the option for a Roshan in 15 seconds. So, in some sense, they are set up for that. Highly doubtful, though, that Vici Gaming is just going to allow it to go down for free.
No, definitely not. It's going to be rough. I think this is the next objective both sides are going to be looking at. And I think Vici's going to enjoy it. If they jump in, if they manage to land at that big arena, even up against the Puck's Dream Coil, I don't think it's a massive issue at all. I think Vici has the control. They can ride through those BKBs or even catch them out before the BKBs are casted. So Keating is really keeping Sylar in his place. If he gets caught out first, and then it kind of falls apart for EHOME. They don't have their frontliner. They don't have their big damage.
Q jumps in onto the Nyx Assassin. Global Silence immediately out. DY will survive, but Arena catches nothing. Just some illusions. EHOME, that'll be enough for them, though. Lasso is going to be there on Faith Beyond. They need to find now, though. Everything missing from Eurus doesn't seem to matter, as Ori had the follow-up damage, and now Y came in a little bit too deep. Spike Carapace will hold him down, and the Impel follow-up is going to be there. EHOME just not feeling confident. I mean, you think after the arena they might say, let's go, but it's just not the case. They just don't feel confident enough to make the play happen.
I think that's fair. I think they are trying to play a bit more cautiously. They were not quite grouped up for that fight, even if it didn't land. That arena didn't land from VG. They were still kind of split up a bit too bad to try to take that, and this will allow VG to once again take that Roshan. There is an Ag's Blessing as well, so they can just easily pick it up.
He will not go in. Too late. Nothing to say. Shows himself for a second. He had freed up a slot. He was thinking about making the jump. It was just a tad too late. Ori is really starting to hit like a truck. That's a lot of damage being dealt by those Glaives of Wisdom. Well, it is also pure damage, which hurts even more. And
he's got the 25 talent, plus 20% damage onto those Glaives as well. So really menacing on this Silencer. And you, with that Roche kill, of course, you have the Ag Synthesis. You've got the Nyx with the Ags now. So you have a lot more utility with a Burrow.
They can just, with that Burrow, it seems like you could just hold high ground forever.
Oh, definitely.
It's very hard to try and go high ground up against that. Not that we've got to that case yet. Anyway, we're not even close for EHOME doing that. It's Vici's the only one that's actually gotten a tier 3, and we're 46 minutes in. This might be the first game of the China region ESL One LA where we get to see some tier 5 items come out.
Possibly. With the back and forth that's happening here, I could definitely see it happening. I mean, Vici is 17k ahead, 16k ahead, but they can't pierce the high ground. They take 4 heroes out, and they can't melt the tower. They're not close to the towers. So we're just kind of stuck in this situation.
DY, gonna get spotted. Ice Path is there from Y. Meanwhile, bot lane, who have they found? It is going to be Faith Beyond. Snowball going to save for now. Arena was dropped though. Eurus, he has them, though. He does get Faith Beyond out with the Snowball. Now they're going to chase. Yules does connect from PYW, and now the Flame Break. Faith still trying to get himself out. He roars and TPs. Is it going to be enough? It is!
Oh, man.
And meanwhile, apparently DY actually did end up losing his life. Y picks it up on the Jakiro. So it was a 1-for-1 trade on the pause 4s as now they jump back in. Yang doesn't have lasso, but they'd love to find this easy Jakiro kill. He blinks away. Now nothing safe. Blinking back in on the puck. Still Ori hitting like an absolute truck on that silencer. They do get the buyback forced out, and now the ice path is going to be there as a dream call does connect onto 3. They've got Ori in the back, but where's the damage? Everyone's focused on Eurus, but Eurus is blocking all that damage with the shield, and now he pops his BKB as they go back onto the puck. Ori falling low now to the Terrorblade. It is going to be enough to get the Aegis. And that'll be it. Both teams again in a bit of a stalemate. We'll back out.
Oh man, that was a pretty big loss for VG though. Like losing that Ags is going to be big, so that is going to leave Ori a lot more vulnerable, and he's really not a tanky target. In that, even if he tried to itemize for it with that Chivas, with the Lincolns to give him some breathing room, he just can't cope with the damage coming out from Sylar. If Sylar can get, the damage out and just stand there and fight. So you've got a bit of an opening here for EHOME. Eurus had to expend the cheese as well. Oh no, he actually passed the cheese as well to Ori. So they had 2 copies, one eaten, one remaining onto Ori this time. And I guess that still gives them a way of playing around it. But, VG going to be happy enough with just a tier 2. I don't think they're going to be going for the high ground just yet unless EHOME decides to take a fight outside. But EHOME's just happy staying in their base.
That they are. Sylar's actually holding 7k gold right now. You've got that magic wand you're going to get rid of, obviously. And kind of like, what are you replacing with Sylar? It's very evident he needs some form of damage, I would say, right? He's not really hitting as hard as you would hope for a Terrorblade.
Yeah.
You think it's just like a divine here? Like it's just a divine, but he already bought the MKB, so you do lose the true strike value.
I think maybe a Daedalus would be helpful. Honestly, overall, I think that's something you could look at, if not a Bloodthorn for additional control. Although the value of that is in question, but somewhere along those lines. I wouldn't be too surprised if he just opted for a Butterfly, although I don't think that's going to improve his survivability too much. It will mitigate the damage coming out from Ori, though. So that's something.
Oh, he's going for a Silver Edge.
I guess for the Bulwark is annoying. Like, that is what's keeping Eurus alive.
Okay. That is certainly so. It is a very, very interesting way to go about it. And of course, you can always switch out the Silver Edge anyway. It's not too big of a deal. See if it pays off. He's got meta up. Do we go for a smoke here? Not quite yet. PYW as well, we got to mention, does have the multi-shot arrows now. And those things can be very, very efficient during a team fight where everyone is just scattered or clustered. Be very devastating for the opposing teams. There is going to be a smoke from EHOME, but a Moonlight Shadow will come out from Vici Gaming now. Both teams ready to go. Smoke broken. Vici, they jump in. Straight lasso onto Faith Beyond. In fact, it's Sing Q again on the Tusk. Sing Q does go down, and now they jump in with the Abyssal. Eurus finds Y, so both supports are already dead, and now they just need to get out. Dream Call is going to be in the back from the puck, just trying to hold them back. And it was just perfect timing on that Moonlight Shadow. It seems as Vici kind of realized the smoke probably was happening. And, well, now 2 supports down, 1 with no buyback. They're going to go for that high ground push again.
It is an opening for Vici, and I think they should maximize this. Like, especially with no buyback in the Tusk, that means there's going to be 1 less saving grace here for EHOME. That should allow them to get a lot more damage on these tier 3s. Of course, the Metamorphosis is still up in Sylar, so he could still dish out the damage, and you still have to respect that potential there.
Yeah.
In fact, they're split pushing.
Nothing to say. Getting caught out with the Abyssal. He can't afford to die like this, but Eurus does have an Orchid up for the puck and does get the kill. And now the puck actually going into Dagon. Dagon 2 up on Nothing to Say as they do buy back on him and Sylar. course, there is a split pushing going on from Faith Beyond. He does found a tier 3. That's all he's found. He almost gets a Rax out of it, but the melee barracks is going to be able to heal up.
Yeah, he had Sylar around for that. That's how Sylar died. He just died to Ori's right clicks, and it is potent. That is something you have to watch out for. 86 int onto Ori now, and no buyback on Sylar because he had to expend it there. So even if they manage to take that tier 3, I don't think VG's going to be too bothered by it. They will have to be much more cautious about leaving that lane exposed, as that is something Fate Beyond can handle quite fast. At the same time, EHOME cannot afford to have Sylar up in front. The issue is, as a Terrorblade, he needs to be standing up and just fighting as much as he wants. And even with a BKB, it doesn't feel like he can do that safely.
He may need something like a Satanic, it seems like, right? Because it kind of solves the damage issue as well as it gives you a second life, basically. Especially if the BKB is active. Well, Smoke, Moonlight Shadow, but they have been scanned out. Vici shouldn't be able to find a target onto EHOME, but Y is out of position, but now he's on the high ground. He'll be safe. Still a 27k net worth lead for Vici Gaming. It's just absolutely huge. Oh, Smite Carapace, nothing to say, getting caught out. And now a triple Impel DY. Arena going to be dropped just to protect his Nyx Assassin, but they're still going. They want to get this kill. But it looks like they may not, as the puck getting caught out. Nothing to say, he gets DY, but he needs to get out of there safely. He will make it out. And EHOME now going back in onto Ori. Did they just kick him away? Was that a force stomp? Looks like Ori did force stomp, and now Lasso going to be there onto the Beastmaster Faith. Will survive for now. They're going onto that Mars. Still, he runs away Eurus. They get away, and nothing to say does go down as they go back onto Syncure. The Tusk, who has no buyback. And that's in fact 2 heroes down with no buyback, and make it 3. Faith Beyond will go down to Yang on the bat ride, and they call GG.
Oh, man.
So the draft works out. For Vici Gaming, I can't believe it.
Hey, I told you, Mike. If VG got that early game, right, they just run you over. It took a bit longer than I expected, to be fair,